Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Speaker for Schools Industry Spotlight Talk. We're delighted that you're here with us today. I'm Sarah, your host, and today you'll be hearing from some industry insiders. So industry insiders are people who are currently working in the industry and are living out experiences that come with building a career. We have up to an hour for this session, and it includes a presentation from our speakers and also a time of Q&A. The questions are coming in already, which is amazing. Keep them coming. The box is open from now, so we can get our questions over to our speaker. We encourage you to submit questions from now, and we can collect them all and talk through them later on. You can also interact with today's talk via the poll that we have on Slido. That's underneath the stream as well. We'd love to see your answers there, so please get stuck in. If you have any issues at all during this time, please let us know via the same box. We'll do our best to help you out and support you during this talk. Okay, so today we're excited to welcome Ravi and Joanna. So Ravi is a partner at Ballantines LLP. He's a UK qualified solicitor with over 20 years of experience specializing in commercial, property, and regeneration law. Ravi previously held a number of head of legal and monitoring officer roles at a number of local authorities in the UK. Then we also have Joanna, who is also a partner in data protection, information governance, public procurement, and commercial and corporate matters. She has worked on a range of high-value and high-profile commercial and corporate projects and collaborative agreements across private international companies, as well as the UK public sector organisations. So amazing. Welcome in, Ravi and Joanna.
For the purpose of today's presentation, we prepared some slides just to make it a little bit easier for us to go through our journey about our legal career and just help you understand what we had to go through and what it took. Okay, so we're going to start with the first question. Ravi, if you wanted to maybe start on it. So our early years aspirations, what drew us to law in the first place, and how did our early experiences shape our aspirations?
Oh, Ravi, we can't seem to hear you. I'm not sure if you might need to unmute something on your side.
Oh, I've unmuted myself. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, you can hear me? Okay, great.
That's better.
Hopefully that will be the only doo-doo that we have for this presentation. Joanna, thank you very much for the question. What drew me to law in the first place? Well, I've been born and raised in the UK in London, son of business people who had their own time manufacturing firm. I realized from an early age that I was going to be part of the family business, and I really wanted to be a professional. When I was in my teens, I wasn't exactly a model student, but I had a keen interest in both law and accountancy. However, my preference was to study the law, which I undertook as one of my A-levels. I understood that the law affected how society governs itself and affects all walks of life. And I wanted to be part of a profession that would help people and businesses going forward. One thing I realized straight away is that a great deal of reading and writing is required to be in the law. That is fundamentally the life of a lawyer. And it's no different from when you're a student to when you're qualified and practice as a lawyer. Back as a student, I would create posters of different legal topics, citing case law, and put it on my bedroom walls. What I found was the key to success is cramming all the information that you've read and then applying it to the exams, and working through past exam questions to know the format of how the questions are answered. Even though there's quite enough time for the exams, when you're putting all the answers down, it feels like you don't have that much time. One thing I realized as well is that I wasn't put off by any kind of bad performances at exams, because there's always opportunities to learn from your mistakes and to resit your exams and apply your exam techniques for the next ones. I also found it quite a good idea to talk to fellow students and teachers just to find out more effective ways of studying. And Joanna, how about yourself? I'll ask the same question. What drew you to the law in the first place, and how did your early experiences shape your aspirations?
Thank you, Ravi. For me, the law affects all walks of life, and I always knew that I wanted to become a lawyer. But originally, I was interested in becoming a barrister because I really wanted to represent people in court hearings and put forward legal arguments on their behalf. I was very fortunate to have been able to do some legal work experience while still at university. And these included a number of mini pupilages with barristers, vacation schemes at commercial law firms, and shadowing judges. And these experiences were very important because they enabled me to see which areas of law and what type of practice I was most drawn to. They also led me to meeting my mentor, who has played a crucial role throughout my legal career, providing me with guidance, support, and advice along the way. And because of these experiences, I realized early on that certain areas of law, such as criminal or family litigation, were just too emotionally charged for me, and I wasn't cut out for it. So I was always a lot more interested in the business side of law, such as corporate and commercial transactions, and that's what I do now. Thank you. Let's have a look at the next slide. The next slide. Okay, so what was a pivotal challenge in each of our legal careers, and the strategy or mindset that helped us overcome it? And do you want to start, Ravi, or do you want me to take this on first?
I think I'll start, because I'm yeah, pretty much. I'll just talk about the fact that I took the traditional route of qualifying as a lawyer. I studied A levels. I then went on to do a degree, a qualifying law major in law and management, and then thereafter that undertaking the LPC. And I remember, whilst I was studying at university, I did not have any legal work experience, which was always a worry for me. Despite sending out countless applications and approaching a number of different organizations, I faced a lot of rejections. What I found was employers will want to see that you have a keen interest in law, and that they will want to know what legal skills and experience you have, as well as your educational qualifications. What I would do is apply to law centers and clinics and various schemes with the educational institutions. And I think my university gave me my first legal work experience, where I visited HMP Wandsworth, of all places, to give legal advice to prison inmates on various matters. But I find it quite. It was worth it, because you're actually interacting with people and applying your legal knowledge to assist and support them. But what I have found is that there are many roles that, even though they're not necessarily defined as legal roles, you'll find that there's a great deal of working knowledge and practice of the law. And what I did after I graduated in the environmental health team at the where I was issuing letters of intended prosecutions and legal enforcement notices, and I remember putting that on my CV, and it was actually being recognised as, well, that's legal work experience right there, because you're pretty much doing legal work, even though it wasn't defined as a legal role. But as I didn't have enough legal work experience, I then applied to legal recruitment agencies during my holidays, and they were very helpful. And I managed to gain legal work experience as a corporate paralegal for two of the largest global firms, which I thoroughly enjoyed and gave me a bit more insight into legal practice. Thereafter that, I worked as a paralegal in the high street, gave a lot of commitment in time and effort, and that led to me having the opportunity of gaining a training contract, and thereafter becoming a trainee solicitor, and then qualifying as a solicitor thereafter. And Joanna, how about yourself? I'll go back and ask the same question. What was a pivotal challenge in your legal career?
I had actually quite a few challenges throughout my legal career. I had moved to London from Poland when I was 19 years old, and initially my challenge was definitely having to gain a thorough grasp of English while at the same time studying law and doing a law degree in a different language. Then after completing my LPC, I found it difficult to secure a training contract. While there were some options available at small high street firms, those were not exactly the areas of law that I wanted to practice. And I also had to fully support myself during this time. So it was not going to be possible on a very low salary offered at those high street places. And then another challenge was when I was sitting my US bar exam, which I have to say felt like doing an entirely new 3 years worth of law degree in the space of a year, pretty much, while at the same time working. So that was pretty big. Then following my qualification, the next challenge was to gain post-qualification experience in something that was a very, very competitive legal job market. I had undertaken a few paralegal roles before eventually starting my career as a data protection specialist. And overall, I have to say, there were times when I felt like quitting and choosing a different profession because I was not prepared for this journey of becoming a lawyer to be as difficult or take as long. But I persevered because law has always been my passion. And later on, I found out that these challenges that I had to overcome actually prepared me for the real life work as a lawyer, which of course is very, very challenging as well. And I'm grateful for all the people I met along the way and for all the mistakes I made as well, because they were the best lessons learned for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, let's move to the next step.
Okay.
Do you want to? Okay, so the next question is our journey to becoming partners at our law firm, but also
I think.
sort of key.
I think. Sorry, Joanna. Did we miss one as well? There was a. What were the key decisions, moments, or relationships to the pinnacle of our legal profession?
Yeah, so that's the question we have now. Can you see? No, so this is the question number one. What were the key decisions, moments, or relationships that propelled us to the pinnacle of the legal profession? And then the second part, we're just going to talk about just setting up our firm. So do you wanna start again on that first question?
Shall I start again? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
During my training contract, I undertook placements within property, criminal litigation, and immigration. Once I was qualified, I found out that the law firm that I qualified in, there wasn't actually a available role for me, which was a bit disheartening because, once you spend all the time studying and then working through your training contract, qualifying as solicitor, sometimes the roles aren't just there. So what I then did was took on temporary locum roles as a residential conveyancing lawyer, and I then realised that it wasn't really for me, and I was offered the opportunity to work as an in-house lawyer for Thurrock Borough Council, which I thought was pretty amazing. What I found was working in the public sector, it was great because you had an opportunity to work in not just the area of law that you're working in, but they allow you to move areas of law, which is always quite interesting. So certainly in my first role, I was working as a commercial real estate lawyer, then a planning and highways lawyer, and then moved on to working on contracts as well. And in 2007, I would go on to meet my second mentor, my first mentor being obviously my training principal. My second mentor, who, although he was tough on me, he appreciated my enthusiasm and energy and ambition to constantly learn new things and take on new pieces of work. But what he would teach me, which I've always taken on and certainly tried to pass on to others that I had to train and manage and supervise, is to break down a complex problem into little steps, which I find is a fantastic way of practicing law, especially when you've got quite complex projects or matters to deal with. Watching him work, I would see that he would always remain calm working on some of these complex work. And then he kind of radiated confidence to not only myself and my fellow colleagues, but for also the clients who instructed us, which gave us a more positive outcome. So Joanna, how about yourself? What were your key decisions or moments or relationships that propelled you to the pinnacle of the legal profession?
For me, I think because I started my career in the field of data privacy, I would say my key decision was to move to the public sector, which at the time, well, I can say one of my work colleagues at the time persuaded me to do, and I can reveal that that colleague was actually Ravi. And so it turned out to be the best decision. As I was thrown in at a deep end, and I realized that, so as a senior commercial public procurement and information lawyer, I worked in a very fast-paced environment. I was leading on some very high value and high profile projects that you often hear about on the news, and I absolutely loved it. I would just keep my eyes and ears open to any valuable advice I could hear from other senior lawyers and managers, just to better my legal practice and to avoid any pitfalls. I would learn from different lawyers on how they approach their work, and also I developed my own methods based on the experience working with them. Having to pick up new areas of law very quickly and learning to break down what was perceived as complex issues into simple steps to get the outcomes required, and as well as the ability to deal with sometimes very difficult clients, gave me more and more confidence going forward. And overall experience and knowledge I gained, I think, was invaluable. I found myself working on a large amounts of data privacy matters as well, which added to my experience within this area, which I was very happy about. And ironically, the public sector experience helped me to transition back into the private sector, and it made it a lot smoother. And then, as an in-house legal counsel, I worked across a number of different sectors, including mobility as a service, IT, financial services, and I just kept learning continuously. And I think what I took out from it, the key qualities for me throughout that journey, I would say, was the ability to adapt and to learn new things very quickly, and also to develop well-established relationships, for example, with new and existing clients. And I just say that this is because being a lawyer is not only about the law, and it's not only about, as you mentioned earlier, Ravi, about reading a lot all day, but it's also about different types of relationships that you build with people around you, including various stakeholders, your colleagues, and your clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in terms of
Yeah,
us
absolutely
setting up,
agree with.
yeah. So in terms of us setting up our law firm, setting up Ballantines LLP, um, what were the key reasons for us setting it up? So in 2022, Ravi, my business partner, and I, we decided to set up our own law firm just to address gaps in the provision of legal services and to stamp our own mark on the legal industry. As we were working as in-house lawyers, we were able to affect real change in how the work was undertaken and address any gaps in the legal services. And Ravi, do you want to also add something to it?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Just to add to that, working as in-house lawyers for your organisation, change within the organisation, everything from how they instructing lawyers to how the work is handled. Being in-house lawyers for so many years, we had a few messages that we wanted to share with the industry at large. And what we felt was by opening up our own law firm, kind of gave us the vehicle to then in the industry about certain key topics and important issues that affected the work that we do. We've been operating, been quite successful in marketing our brand, hosting presentations in person and online, and participating in events that has led us gain industry recognition, both here in the UK and abroad. I think that wraps it up for us with regards to the. I think we pass it back to Sarah. I think we'll have some.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that whistle stop tour through your journeys and about Ballantines LLP. We do have some questions coming in, which is amazing. We also have some that have been submitted previously as well. So we can go through those to start with. So this first one is from John Fisher's school. And they are saying that their school is keen to set up A-level law starting from next year. Would this be helpful for students to get into law? So I know we mentioned the A-levels as well, I think, at some point. So yeah, let's just say, how helpful is it to have an A-level in law? Joanna, would you like to go first?
Yes, so I think it would definitely be helpful to have A-level
I think I'll
in law.
take that.
It just shows that someone is interested in studying law from the very beginning, and just it gives a student the time to consider, as I mentioned earlier, gaining, for example, legal work experience in order to be able to decide which type of lawyer they want to become, what type of area they want to practice. But so as much as I think that it's very helpful to do A-levels in law, I think it's also important to remember that there are different avenues to, becoming a lawyer. And just if somebody, didn't actually take A-level in law, that doesn't mean that later on they can't consider becoming a lawyer, changing their route, because it's always possible. Yes, but I think it always helps to be sort of like choosing your path and following it.
Yeah, that is awesome. Thank you. And this next question kind of follows on from the studying law, like the pathway, I guess, into law. And I can ask both of you, actually. This is from Douai Martyrs Catholic School. Apologise if I get that wrong. And they're saying, I want to study law at university. What are we expected to learn while studying law in general? And what skills will be required? So this is kind of like a two-part question. We can break it down. So the first part is, what are they expected to learn in general, and what skills are required? Ravi, would you like to take this one first, and we can go to Joanna afterwards?
Sure. Yeah, a whole lot and writing. Don't be put off by all of that, because once you start to get into the groove of training yourself, if you're not much of a natural reader, you certainly will. At university, doing a qualifying law major or a LLB, there are numbers, and they're all quite interesting in their own way. I remember my professor, when I was at one of the seminars, just walking into the auditorium and just saying, by the way, 80% of what you learn in your degree, you're never going to use again, which I found quite must have been having a day, because I don't think that's necessarily true. And legal matters involve sometimes different areas of law. So by having that grounding, it's always good to have. But as lawyers, as we go on, we kind of concentrate on certain areas of law and then kind of forget the principles of other ones. But it's like riding a bike; you always come back to it. Sorry, guys, I'm sure that's a pretty poor analogy, but anyway, there you go.
That's great. No, thank you. And Joanna, what skills are required? Maybe this could be a touch on soft and hard skills that are required to study law and kind of be persistent there.
What skills are required? I think that if somebody is interested in studying law to begin with, I think they sort of are good candidates and possess certain skills. So like Ravi mentioned that you have to read a lot, and I have to say I didn't really necessarily enjoy reading at all in the beginning. And also sometimes people seem to think that you need to be really interested in history and certain subjects to be able to study law. None of that was true for me. But I don't know, I just had passion for law. And even though I didn't really enjoy reading much to begin with, I did start to read a lot, because what you have to, well, the sort of university, the studying type involves a lot of working on legal cases. So you just have to sort of read and find out what the judgment was, etc., etc. In terms of skills, I think it's definitely reading, speaking, but I think this is something that if you're passionate about, you can develop. And I think while you're studying during your 3 years university, you have lots of opportunities to develop these skills. But certainly be prepared to sort of, to make sure that you are happy to work on those skills, and you're not, for example, a type of person that prefers to work with numbers, right? I think that just goes without saying.
Yeah, that is really helpful. Thank you. And from the same school as well, they're asking, what is it like working in an established law firm? So what is your day-to-day like in your roles at Ballantines LLP? Ravi, we can come to you first.
Navigating through a lot of emails first thing in the morning when you open up your laptop or PC, and seeing what adventures you're going to get into today. As a lawyer, you would already have your own mindset of what you want to achieve for the day and for the week, but then there will always be ad hoc queries or emergencies or things like that. So it's very much sometimes hands on deck, and you have to kind of sideline what you want to do to work on priority cases. I've certainly found that in the private sector, and I've definitely found that in the public sector. So there's quite a bit to navigate through during the day, but at the same time, it can be fun. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than when you overcome some complex problems or reach a resolution or something, agree a way forward. It's quite a great feeling, and all that time and energy and effort that you committed to becoming a lawyer. In that moment when you complete something, it's certainly gratifying.
I can add to it that
Joanna,
certainly. Yes, I can add to it that no day is ever going to be the same. When you work as a lawyer, I would say there are just some differences. For example, from my experience working in the private sector and the public sector, I personally found working as a lawyer, starting my career, I was definitely able to work on a lot higher value and higher risk and importance cases in the public sector comparing to the private one for various reasons. So it's definitely, I think I would recommend for students who are considering starting their legal careers to consider both. And then also in terms of working as a lawyer or running your own law firm, that actually is quite different. So I do love being a lawyer, and I do love working on a number of different cases, which is always very interesting, and it gives you great satisfaction just achieving something for your client and having sort of like every day you have small and big successes. Whereas then running your own firm is a little bit different. It's more just more of a business where you just have to put your sort of business hat on, and it involves definitely generating business in the first place, meeting new people, creating business relationships. So it's all sort of a variety of things, but it's all very interesting, and it's all exciting.
I like how you said small and big successes, which is nice because you kind of always have something that's keeping you going rather than waiting for a big success. Every so often you have the small ones too to kind of keep it positive, which is really, really nice. So Bayless Court School are asking, do you have any tips for, having a successful apprenticeship application?
Sorry, I didn't hear that question properly.
Yeah, so they're asking, do you have any tips for creating a successful apprenticeship application? Is there anything that they should look out for as they're applying for an apprenticeship? Yes, please, go for it.
Well, what I would say, if you're receiving these applications, what you want to see is that candidates can demonstrate a kind of passion and drive and enthusiasm about working within the law. The skills that you perceive or what it takes to be of law. So, being accommodating, enthusiastic about learning new skills, demonstrating where you've gone above and beyond to further your career, even if it is just as a law student at the moment in just learning of law, whether it's on the news or whether it's things you've done, kind of just the enthusiasm and drive that you want to join the legal industry. I had a number of apprentices over the years, and they came with absolutely no legal work experience whatsoever. So as a lawyer, then having to take on candidates who then you literally have to explain everything from the beginning. What you want out of these candidates is that they have that commitment and energy and drive and all the legal skills and that you have to pass them.
Awesome. Joanna, did you have an answer for that as well?
I would say Rav is definitely, the authority here on this because, like as he mentioned, he had loads of apprentices in his working career. I did work with trainee solicitors, which I trained, and I totally agree with Ravi. So it's just, I think what's the most important skill that you want to see is not exactly your experience, because obviously you wouldn't have any experience at this stage, but it's just the passion for law, for work that you want to undertake, the drive, determination, and also just the willingness to work hard, to put in the effort. I think that's pretty much all that's required, because everything else you're just going to learn. And if you have that, then you're going to be good at that.
I agree. Thank you so much for
Yeah, absolutely.
This is yeah. If you want to have an answer there, Ravi.
Sorry, Sarah. I was just because there's a bit of a time delay, so apologies, everybody. What I would just add to that is just showing that you're quite hands-on. That really helps, and also that you're a good communicator. These are things these are attributes that people would want to see if they are applying for any form of apprenticeship or anything of that nature, because one of the fundamentals of being a good lawyer is to be a very good communicator. So having those attributes or demonstrating those attributes in the application form certainly helps.
Definitely.
Awesome. And we have quite a big question here, so we can kind of unpack it, and you can kind of talk through your opinions. So this person's asking, how do you deal with losing? So this could be yeah.
I actually, if I can go first on this, because I have to say, early on in my career, I really struggled with that. Not exactly with losing per se, but just something that I perceived as losing. Because, as I mentioned, my journey actually, took some time to qualify as a lawyer, and it was very challenging. And it seemed like I just felt like it was never straightforward. It was quite linear. It wasn't quite linear, and I struggled with that. I just used to see obstacles as failures. So I think it's very important to actually have a bigger picture in mind, and just to have an objective of what you want to achieve. And also, it's always really important to have a plan in place to achieve your objective, to achieve your goal. But as important as it is to have a plan, I think it's also important to be able to and prepared to change it if it's necessary. So you will always have some sort of obstacles. You will face rejections. I remember when I first started applying for training contracts, it was like rejection after rejection. I literally just I lost all. I thought I was probably just better off changing my career altogether. Um, and then it was the same when I was trying to find my first legal job. It was very difficult as well. So it takes a lot of perseverance, and just trying to sort of remind yourself on a regular basis that these are not failures; these are just obstacles. So that's my view.
Yeah, that's really, really good. That there are obstacles you can get over. You just have to work through them. How about you, Ravi? How do you deal with, or how have you dealt with losing?
Well, failure is part of the journey. Even when you study case law, case law involves one party losing, and that is how law is created. It's designed in a way, but it's not perfect. And what the aim is to learn from where there is perceived failure, and then apply it to the next situation. So I don't look at losing or failure as well. That's the be all and end all. But it's an opportunity to learn further. I think there's a quote somewhere that you learn more from your mistakes than you do your successes. And I can certainly vouch for myself that I've been a very good student of a number of failures along the way. And you do learn from all those things. But I like to see the silver cloud in every the silver lining in every cloud. And whether you are unsuccessful in exams or coursework, or whether you're unsuccessful in a case that you're dealing with, the whole point is that you learn from your mistakes, and then you move on to the next situation. But there will be cases. Let's say if you're presenting somebody on a case that it's highly unlikely of getting success. But what you do is that you still have to act in your best interests and put your best foot forward for your client as much as possible. Yeah, that's pretty much my input there, really, when it comes to losing. But losing is it doesn't go away, unfortunately, and it's part of the career.
Yeah, and as Ravi mentioned, you
That
always
sounds quite
learn something.
negative.
Yeah, you always learn from your failures, from losing, and I think it always actually comes back to you in future as an experience, and you are better prepared for a new situation because of those perceived failures.
If
Something
I
we like to
can
say here
mention
is
something
every
with,
day is a
with
school day. It's okay. Yeah, go ahead, Ravi.
if I could just like some of them. Sorry, Sarah. Some of the more successful colleagues that I've met have been people that have failed along the way in terms of their own career or work that they've done, and they've gone on to become the most successful lawyers because of losing, because of failure. So, like I said, it's part of the journey.
Yeah, every day is a school day. That's what we say here a lot. So all these kind of obstacles are part of the journey, and you learn from them. So thank you for that. We have a couple of questions before we're going to wrap up today. We've still got them coming in, but we can go through a couple more. This one's really interesting, actually. How effective do you believe being a lawyer is in terms of changing society? Yeah, it's a very interesting one. Joanna, would you like to go first?
Well, I would say that's a very tricky question, and it could be the answer pretty much would be similar to any other profession. You probably are able to affect the change in the society in lots of different ways, not just by being a lawyer, but whatever you choose to do, if you're passionate about what you do. And it doesn't have to be really huge. It can be just doing something on a daily basis that actually contributes to people's lives, making a difference to people's lives. And so I think, for example, from my personal experience, Working on a number of projects during COVID in the public sector, I felt extremely passionate and driven about that, because those were really affecting people in need, residents of different local authorities that needed care and support during the hard times. And I think for me, just just being able to provide that support, whether legal or, obviously there were lots of people collaborating on those projects, so they were not just lawyers but different professionals. I think for all of us it just provided this sort of professional satisfaction, and just knowing that we are changing, well, we're making positive difference in people's lives. And that would also be the case for, let's say, a barrister, when a barrister goes to court, and whether they win the case or not, if they actually help the client in some way, very small or a big way, I think that also makes a difference. And just kind of like being able to provide your services to someone and knowing that it's helping them and it's making difference to them. I think that's my answer.
Yeah, that's a great answer as well. Thank you. Just for time, I'm going to go on to our last question before we wrap things up. And I'll come to you, Ravi, first for an answer for this one. So what do you suggest is the best pathway to take to secure a place in a firm?
Do your kind of due diligence on what types of work the firm does. Look at. I mean, firms are no different to any other businesses. So if you're applying for a job at a business, the people that are running the business want to know that you know about their business, that you are aware of what their business is, and so on. So doing that kind of due diligence is certainly interesting. And if you manage to get yourself your foot through the door and get an interview, that's what I would expect to see and hear at the interview stage. Is, well, do you know about us and what we do, and what personal skills and attributes can you bring that could assist us going forward. Those are the things that I would suggest in applying for a law firm, is to do the due diligence on what work they're actually doing, and if they've worked on some high profile matters, obviously talking about that. But overall, they just want to see that you've got a keen interest in their business, like in any other business. That would be my advice.
Awesome, thank you. And then Joanna, just to round things up, I guess we can kind of say the same question, but also some last words of advice or for inspiration. Anyone who's listening today who wants to get into law, what would you say is the best kind of pathway and the best way to go?
I think there are different ways, as I said, to get into the legal profession. But if you're in a situation where you're actually applying for a role, and you are preparing for an interview, let's say, so nothing's going to beat practice. You really have to practice interview questions, and I can tell you, like, the amount of interviews I had in my life. I used to be very stressed and very nervous about all of those questions and answering them. But it got to a point after, like countless interviews. I used to go to interviews just feeling like I think I've probably prepared my answers for any possible question that may come up in an interview. So I guess it's like you have to practice. There is no sort of like easy way around that. But other than practicing, it's also important that you want to make sure that this place that you're applying to, that's where you want to be. That's where you really see yourself working, because that's going to show in an interview as well. That's definitely going to show your sort of like passion, and it will make answering those questions easier, because you're just going to be answering from your from your heart. But yeah, in general, I would say, yeah, I think I just wanted to stress out the importance that there are lots of different ways to qualify as a lawyer nowadays. And just because if somebody feels like they didn't follow the sort of standard route to becoming a lawyer, or they just even like decided to do a different law degree and then they want to switch and want to become a lawyer, I would say, you know, don't be discouraged. It's never too late, and there are always ways to do what you want to do.
Thank you so much. What a lovely way to end the Q&A session. Ravi and Joanna, thank you for your time today. It's been really, really nice to learn more about what you both do and the firm itself, and the advice and answering the questions. It's been really great. Thank you for your time, and I'm sure you've left people feeling very inspired today. So yeah, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, awesome. So right before we finish, we've created some time for you to do some feedback for us. So please let us know how you found today, how we can improve, leave some comments as it's better, create these sessions for the future. So what I'm going to do is put a QR code on the screen, disappear from the screen a little bit for a while, and I'll come back to end completely. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for being here with us. If you haven't had a chance to do the feedback form, there'll be one sent to your email, so look out for that as well. Please get involved with some more talks. Look out for them on our website, and we'll hopefully see you soon for another Industry Spotlight talk. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.